Hello, my name is Anjani Segrist, and today I'm reading the astrology chart for the full moon that we have October 5th. Exact time is 11:40 a.m. in San Diego, or Pacific Standard Time. And what we're looking at this full moon is so many dynamic, active forces happening. So first of all, looking at the sun is conjunct Mercury and Vesta. So within 10 degrees of the sun, we have Mercury and Vesta. And anytime it's a full moon, the sun is in opposition to the moon, who is in Aries. Sun is in Libra. So the tension, the pull, the opposition, or the resonant polarity has to do with relationships, the way that we relate to each other, the way that we relate to the whole world. It has to do with being fiercely independent and also cooperating in community and balancing that. So that polarity of Libra and Aries on its own has to do mostly with relating. But what we have this month is Mercury right next to the sun, which is giving us clues about communication, cognition, so the way that we are perceiving and understanding other. What I'm seeing, and it could also just be what's coming through me, is that erasing that idea of another on the outside and seeing that other as yourself, myself, as an outer expression of your inward material and what you're conceiving, perceiving, the way that you're understanding. So that is this full moon point in the sign of Virgo and Aries. So whenever it's a full moon, it's really good to start thinking about the polarity between the two instead of just focusing on where the moon is. We want to focus on the polarity. So the next thing that's really awesome that I want to talk about is Mars and Venus together exact in the sign of Virgo, and that's opposing Chiron. So Venus and Mars being together in the sign of Virgo to me looks like the priest and priestess, the inner feminine and the inner masculine, the feminine and masculine on the world stage, how they are being reunited, having a chance to come together as sacred, feminine and masculine. Opposing Chiron looks, so that would be the resonant polarity. Chiron is their resonant polarity, who is the alchemist, who is able to digest the wounds and make medicine from that. So what this looks like to me, in the most, if this was dream interpretation, it would just be so obvious that this is a healing of the masculine and feminine. So taking that to the world scene, but also for yourself, from within yourself. So asking yourself questions about your inner feminine, inner masculine. How can you have a union of those two within yourself and not seeing things so separate? I had a house guest once who was like, I'm getting into my masculine by hammering, I'm going to go and hammer stuff and put things on the wall. And she was wearing overalls and was like, I'm getting into my masculine. And we want to stop that. The masculine doesn't nail things and hammer things, and the feminine doesn't wear makeup and dress up pretty. I mean, it can, but it doesn't have to be so split up like that. So finding ways you can look for unity, look for the unity more or as much as you've been looking for the separation between the two. This is one way to bring wholeness to your own inner feminine and inner masculine. And I have done a whole bunch of writing on that, so I will attach one or two articles about that with exercises that you can do to unite your own feminine and masculine within. The other thing that is a highlight here is Pluto down in Capricorn is square to the sun and Mercury and Vesta, really. So this whole little, you can call it a stellium, three things all put together in Libra is square to Pluto. So what this is really doing is inviting us into the underworld, into our power, the source of power. So what Pluto wants is for us to get away or have it taken away, to pull ourselves apart from anything that is in this particular setup that is keeping us from unity, from community, anything that's keeping us from that. Pluto is going to separate. So this is a really good time to look at that consciously. So if it's happening, because a lot of times when we're working with Pluto, it's not like we have a choice, really. We will get taken into the underworld one way or another, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. I'm in a Pluto cycle, almost at the end of a Pluto cycle. Those usually last about 12 to 18 months, and I've been in this for a while. And what I've been noticing is that, yes, I am understanding and perceiving and having more dreams that are underworld-ish, but I'm feeling the power from them instead of feeling terrified and terror and scared. And not that it's not scary and horrifying. There's many things that have come to my table, to my plate right in front of my face that are shocking and horrifying and very not what I would expect to see in everyday life, but they haven't killed me. I've actually been going through them, and it's almost like sticking your hand in a light socket. That's the way I've been describing my Pluto cycle but getting you can, when you stick your hand in a light socket, you can either, I'm thinking of an outlet when they used to say when we were little kids that you'll get electrocuted. You can either do that and feel a charge, or you can do that and be like, this hurts. So it really is perception. So Pluto is square directly with cognition and perception, and the sun being that power source. So working with that, I'm going to do some writing on that tomorrow because of Scorpio, and Jupiter is moving into the sign of Scorpio on October 18th. So I'm going to do a lot more work with that. Scorpio and the polarity between Scorpio and Taurus are things that we are not comfortable with in our current society, culture, in America especially. This is something that we're not comfortable with it. So and I just mean overall. And for people who work specifically in the Scorpio realm, I think have been able to come out and be comfortable in their intensity and working with that energy. And for people who haven't come out but it's in them, I think that they're getting used to it, they're getting comfortable with it, and I'm going to do a lot more work with that so that we all can accept our own inner intensity, passion and mystery, and all the things that we're uncomfortable with, like death and money and addictions and everything that's in the Scorpio realm. That's all coming up this year, especially because Jupiter, who is the year sign, is moving into the sign of Scorpio, which will be there for a whole year. So just to recap on the upcoming full moon, we have the sun in Libra opposing the moon in Virgo. So if you have anything along this axis, this full moon will be directly pushing your buttons. Then we have Pluto square to the sun and Mercury, giving us a sense of the underworld, feeling the power and intensity that Pluto is bringing to separate us from anything that is keeping us from our own true power. And then Mars and Venus up here in the sign of the priest and the priestess, opposing Chiron, giving us a time for alchemizing, digesting, and integrating anything left between our inner feminine and inner masculine that hasn't been integrated. We can call this a healing of our inner feminine and inner masculine. So thank you so much for watching this brief video on the full moon. If you have any questions, please feel free to type in the questions, like the video, subscribe to my channel. I love and appreciate all the interaction between everybody here, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.